like a little video intro.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, we'll see you in 1 minute.
All right. All right, everyone. We're going to be doing a live here with Jesse from Missing Link, and I hope everyone enjoys it. But we're going to really talk about, we're going to review and last 3 years. Let's go over to Jesse and see what he's got. Here we go.
Everyone has something to share, and either wisdom, story, or logic. And it's clearly amazing to hear all the different missing links discovered by people, unique to their own journeys, and in how they have come to discover them. Together, we can help to build a bigger picture for a better future, for a brighter tomorrow. Let's stand united. Let's remove the veils, and let's create a new world together. Are you that missing link? Join Jesse Hale on the Missing Link Talk Show as he helps to unveil the mystery through the unique wisdom and story of others.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome everybody here back to the Missing Link. Today we're excited and honored to have someone who's an MIT PhD, the inventor of email, is a scientist, inventor, entrepreneur, and Fulbright scholar who holds 4 degrees from MIT, including his PhD in biological engineering. He started 7 successful high-tech companies providing thousands of jobs in MA, I believe that's Massachusetts. His life has been about solving very tough problems by identifying the root cause, bringing together people to innovate real solutions. Now he wants to serve America beyond left and right, to deliver solutions we need and deserve. Welcome to the Missing Link, Dr. Shiva Ayaderi. How are you doing today?
Great to have you, Jesse. How are you?
I'm very, very good. It's an honor and a treat to have you. So why don't you start off with telling us a little bit about yourself, about your journey, a little bit about your background, education, anything that you wanted to share with the audience, what part of the world you grew up in, what part of the world you're in now, whatever that, especially if they may be hearing you here for the first time.
Yeah, I think, Jesse, probably the best place to start is when we started this, you said something interesting. You said, this is my 555th episode, right? 555? Yes. Jesse?
Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah. So what's interesting with that number is fascinating is we looked it up right before it. If you believe in any of the, power of numbers, it's a number that actually represents a connection of heaven and earth. And earlier this morning, I had a long talk with a good friend of mine about really fundamentally what we're witnessing. It's sort of may seem trite, but it's really a spiritual battle between good and evil. And the connecting heaven and earth is a big part of it, and is how you do that. People use a lot of these words, but fundamentally the journey that I've been on has been to create solutions that actually help us connect these different realms for those people who are interested in living a highly conscious spiritual life while on this planet. That's fundamentally what it's about. So I haven't spoken in those words. That's why, I wanted to really talk about, as I review my history briefly in the beginning of this, my background as a warrior, as a scientist, as an engineer, who's really been front-facing in my own individually and collectively, really fighting and defeating what I call the swarm. In fact, we should call it the Brahmin swarm, and we should talk about that. Who is a swarm, and what does this word, quote unquote, Brahmin really mean? And fundamentally, the world is now a multiracial, decentralized swarm of a neo-caste system of Brahmins who are not only, in the Indian tradition, but all over the world. And we should talk about that. What does that mean? And my journey has been fighting this, again, on a very personal level and collectively. So this is, when I say that I know the plight of everyday people, working people, because I am one of those people, and I've had to fight those fights, front facing. It's not been something theory. So for a lot of these people who use the word, oh, I know your plight. Oh, let's be revolution. Let's start a revolution, right? These are just words, messaging words. None of them are real to any of these people. Many of them actually crib their notes from me, steal my words to try to manipulate people into the swarm, back into the swarm, right? So my journey has been one of a warrior, scientist, engineer, and inventor all my life. And that journey as a warrior began being exposed to a insidious system called the caste system of India that I grew up into. And now that caste system, which I thought I left India, today pervades the entire world. The Brahmins of India now have become, there's a global Brahmin elite who actually think they're better than you at a fundamental level. And this Brahmanical caste system involves people who are brown, yellow, white, all different colors, a multiracial aristocracy which pervades the world. And it's a very small set of them. And the good news is over those last 50 years, 59 years, I'm 59 right now, of that journey, I've learned how to not only fight them, but what we must do and can do to defeat them. And in order to defeat them, that will demand that you as an individual must make a choice. Do you want to raise your consciousness? Do you want to let go of this naivete and stupidity in thinking you can somehow tame and reform evil? Or do you want to take a very, very decisive approach to recognizing that evil can never be tamed or united with? Some idiot doctor wrote to me, goes, oh, you would be farther along if you worked with these evil people. It's like, you're a fucking idiot, okay? And these people are sitting in their lofty towers, ivory towers, making commentary, never knowing the journey of me or everyday working people who've had to fight tooth and nail and every day have to fight injustice. They know nothing about the plight of everyday people. So everything's theoretical to them. So my journey, in summary, has been as a warrior who discovered the caste system, then as a scientist who witnessed my grandmother, a village healer, applying traditional systems of medicine to heal local villagers, and then as an engineer, as a biological engineer, discovering and connecting the missing link between those ancient systems of medicine and modern engineering theory to bring to the world what I call truth, freedom, health, the system which can really empower people to become their own gurus, to become their own hero. My job is to be a catalyst with the knowledge I have so people can become heroes. That's what my job is. So people don't say, oh, what do you think about Trump? Or Trump is getting indicted. What do you think about booby effing Kennedy or this? These are all wrong questions. These are the questions people ask who want to be slaves and house slaves, right? They don't want to get off the plantation. So that's my journey. My journey is to be that field slave who's not the quote unquote good Indian, who has decided that I have great, great anger and hatred for the Brahmin swarm, and I'm committed to defeating them and fighting them. And I have defeated them. We've had many, many victories. When you take the approach of what we teach at our university, Truth, Freedom, and Health, or our system, people can actually learn to think beyond left and right. They can learn that they are a force for change and that their leaders reflect their state of consciousness. So if you have a consciousness which is willing to accept liars and snakes and duplicitous people whose personal integrity doesn't match their public integrity, and you're okay with all that, well, you're going to get a bunch of scumbag leaders, and you deserve that. But if you want to raise your consciousness and you want leaders who will actually lead, who will say the right thing at the right time, their integrity, personal and private, match. They're not like two different people, schizophrenics, right? You can look at their history all the way from since they were a child to when they're adulthood, and you will see a direct connection that there is no contradictions, that they've always been consistent in fighting evil. That's the kind of leaders people need. They need people who raise people up, not bring them to a level, oh yeah, that guy, he scammed all these people, but now he's running for president. Oh, I'm okay with that because all of them are scammers. That's what politicians are. Well, bullshit. That's not what I believe leaders are. Leaders are people who actually believe in truth, freedom and health, and their life reflects that. They fought for freedom, they fought for truth, and they live a healthy life. All those three things have to match. So if you have someone who bangs a bunch of prostitutes while his wife is pregnant and pays off lawyers, and other people to get them off, or another one who bangs 38 women. I'm talking about Booby F. and Kennedy. The early person was Trump, right? And when his wife dies, does bogus, funerals, and then exhumes the body of his wife because he actually hated her and moves her. These are not the kind, and these are the kind of people that you want to even consider. Or another guy, they went and found a brown guy to mimic me, this guy called Vivek the Snake, right? Who actually, bought useless drugs from Big Pharma, wrapped it out into IPOs, and cheated people, right? If that's the kind of people you want, or you're okay with that kind of duplicity, then you should not be watching this stream, and you should probably go align yourself with evil. We are building a movement now, Truth, Freedom, and Health. Our political campaign, Shiva for President, is demanding, you can, by the way, you can put this bumper sticker on the back of your car, and you will do more work that way, than by being on social media, which is fully controlled. Okay. So we're about building a movement. The future is offline. We're about destroying this Brahmanical swarm, which pervades the entire world. And we're about not, there's a lot of people say, let's unite. No, there's nothing to unite here with evil. You must divide yourself from evil. It's not about unity. So my journey brings me to a very, very different path. I did a tweet today. I said, when Christ said the meek shall inherit the earth, again, my journey reads that statement that the meek, which Christ was referring to, were the pussies and the ignorant people who do not want to stand up to evil. Yeah, they can have the earth. The warriors and the wise who want to stand up, well, we'll have different choices. We can go to heaven or we can stay here and fight. But the pussies and the ignorant people who want to follow these fake heroes, want to follow the snakes, that's what Christ was really meaning. The meek shall inherit the earth. It wasn't about the humble people, inheriting the earth. It was, if you're a pussy and you don't want to break from the swarm and you don't want to fight these evil people and you're willing to accommodate them, then you deserve mammon. You deserve this material world. So that's sort of the long answer to your short question.
No, that was great. We're here to hear you talk, so you go in depth as you like in the questions. So I want people to know a little bit more about who these Brahmin are and what we are dealing with here, because a lot of people point their fingers towards the Rockefellers or the Rothschilds, or maybe even the Vatican and the Jesuits, the British nobility. But these Brahmins are European Aryans that came to India, 1,500 years, 1,800 years before Christ was born. And I believe that they became the first nobility. And some stuff that I read upon them, they're the ones that actually created evil. So they're the ones who introduced the actual evil into this world. There was peace and harmony before that. People really didn't know what this evil was until the Brahmins came. And they're the hidden hand that's pulling the strings they're the puppet masters, but nobody talks about that except for Dr. Shiva. We had Desert Owl come on here a couple times to mention the Brahmins being the hidden hand. So I'd like you to tell us, your knowledge about that. Yeah, I think you said this Vivek the Snake, he's one of them as well.
Vivek the Snake is the epitome of a Brahmin, brown-nosing, big pharma scumbag, okay? And let me explain why. If you look at that asshole, okay, it's a technical term, I'd like to describe him. This guy literally was put there by the swarm and the WEF, and you go down the list of every three-letter organization because they want to mimic me, right? So they found this fake guy, a brown guy from South India, okay, that's where his parents are from, a Brahmin, to attempt to steal, and they're failing miserably, unfortunately for them, right? All the work we did in 2020, all the limelight that we got from 500 million people, because we actually did God's work fighting the swarm, okay? So they had to find this guy. They were desperately looking for a fool. So they find this Obama 2.0 fool who, by the way, attempts to mimic as though he is from the working class. He actually said he's disadvantaged. He went to a freaking prep school. His parents are from the Brahmanical, caste, but it goes way beyond the Brahmanical caste as we know it to India. A lot of Indians in the United States who came here originally were Brahmins, okay? And they do not want to talk about the caste system because when they look back into the 60s and 70s, and even before that, what they did in India to people of my background, it's quite embarrassing. So they try to say, oh, you're discriminating against us Brahmins. No, you're the guys who caused a lot of major problems. But if you go back in history, I think it's really important to recognize, and they're trying to rewrite history, by the way, it's fascinating. There was a time when India was what was called the Dravidians, the actual native people, very much like the Native Americans, okay, of the U.S. In fact, there's a lot of very fundamental relationship with the Iroquois and the Dravidians of all of India. And when I was with a project that I was doing in India, there was an Indian genome variation project that was done. And the Indian government didn't want this paper coming out, but it clearly shows, if you look at India, it's like that trapezoid. From west to east, there's literally like a dagger that comes in across North India of a very different genetic type. And it's from the quote unquote, the Indo-Aryans, which come in from Iran and that group, right? And it literally split way up North India, Kashmir, to the way bottom of India. Now, the people in way North India are a little bit lighter skinned, and the way people in way South India are darker skinned. But what the Indian Genome Variation Project showed was, except for the ability to create melanin, which is a little darker skin, that people way North India, the Kashmiri, quote unquote, who are later called Brahmins, are the same race as the people down south. You see? So they don't want to do, so what they did was when that invasion took place, they started diminishing the people of dark skin color with the people of light skin color. And that was one of the distinguishing features they started to do to create this Brahmanical caste system, okay? Which then pervaded all over India. But the original concept of the guild system was you had different people, like, let's say you were a really good engineer. Okay, you were known as engineer, Jesse, and I was a really good blacksmith. I would be known as Dr.SHIVA, the blacksmith. You see what I'm saying? And then someone was, let's say, a really learned person who really studied things. He would be called a Brahmin, okay? But over time, that was the original model, right? You had people who were good at things. But this model that took place converted this guild system to, if you're born as this, then you will be that. You see, it was about the birth lottery. You follow what I'm saying, Jesse? It no longer became about merit of where you came from. Oh, you were born into this, you get to be that. Okay? And that devolved into this quote unquote caste system. And now, interesting enough, in India around the 8th century, which is about 1,200 years ago or 1,500 years ago, a lot of spiritual leaders saying, wait a minute, I don't agree with this. If we have equality in heaven, why isn't there equality on earth? And we're talking about connecting heaven to earth, right? This number 555. So these spiritual leaders started questioning this, and that led to what was known as the Bhakti movement, Bhakti, which was a movement of the heart connected to God. And between the 8th century up until the 16th century, the caste system was actually starting to break up in India. Okay? And people of merchant class, people who are artisans, were being elevated to actually get great respect. Now, when the British come to India, British colonialism, instead of letting that caste system evaporate away, British colonialism, you can think about the entire British Empire, right? They said, whoa, the caste system is pretty good. We can organize people, we can manipulate people, and they resuscitated it. So they went and found the old Brahmanical priests, and this is in a wonderful book called The Rise and Fall of the East India Company, written by Ramakrishna Mukherjee. He lays this all out. And they resuscitated the caste system, which was going away, Jesse, okay? So the caste system was originally, the concept of the caste system was a guild system, based on your merit. You achieved certain strata in society, certain positions, but it wasn't supposed to be like that. And then, when this Aryan invasion took place, right, the Dravidians of all over India never believed in property. It was like the Garden of Eden, okay? And it was matriarchal societies, right? They completely created property ownership. They brought in this very divisive caste system. And then, by the way, when the spiritual leaders came up again, that started dwindling, and the British brought it back up. And now we have a caste system that pervades the entire world. Jared Kushner, birth lottery, right? Ivanka Trump, Hunter Biden, right? And go on, you can go down the list, okay? So now we have a multiracial, multi-aristocrat, Brahmanical caste system, and these people thrive on the birth lottery. And these people have learned how to speak the words. They'll speak the words, oh yeah, I believe in meritocracy and excellence, like the scumbag Vivek says. Really? He believes in meritocracy and excellence? Well, he created bogus companies. He created companies, literally you can study Axovant, which is a company for $5 million, starts a company, buys a useless drug that failed 4 clinical trials from Big Pharma, has his mother, if you believe in excellence, why do you have your mother, nepotism, working in your company, who takes a failed clinical study, puts it through a spreadsheet and rehashes it and makes a failed drug appear real for Alzheimer's, and then uses his mother's report to take the company public and scam investors.
Wow.
This is excellence? No, what he did was financial engineering. He doesn't give a fuck about people with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. And then this fellow is promoted on every media channel. New York Times, the liberal media, every day there's an article of him. Why? Because the New York Times actually has real Indian Brahmins there and Brahmins. Okay? The liberal promotes him. Fucker Carlson never asks him a hard question. Oh, really, Vivek? Let me ask you, why did you support this doctor, I think her name is Dina Henderson, who is all pro-vaccine mandate, all pro-mask mandate, is a big pharma person, and you gave her $2,700. Why did you do that? Okay? None of these people are asking this motherfucker any hard questions. And they actively promote him while attempting to make me invisible, but they have a problem because 500 million people all over the world have heard of Dr. Shiva during 2020. We got the word out. So the problem they have now is they're scrambling. They're in major disruption. They don't know if they should push DeSantis. They don't know if they should push Trump, do theater with his indictments. They don't know if they should bring someone else out, right? They're completely in disruption. Gavin Newsom, because of our movement, because in 2020, the movement for Truth, Freedom, Health, and the hard work that I did on exposing election systems at the fundamental level, all the hard work, we were the first ones to call out Fauci in the Fire Fauci campaign, May of 2020. We were the ones to first get 120,000 petitions to Trump, long before these doctors are now doing their scam to try to save face. We were the ones, and all of this is credit that we rightfully deserve because we did the work. It's not ego, and all those people have a problem with that. Again, you can get off the stream because this is the truth. And then furthermore, it was our work, my historic lawsuit, that exposed that the government and social media companies have a government censorship portal. I discovered that. Not fucker Carlson, not Matt Taibbi, all these Brahmins. You see, they never want to give the credit to the non-Brahmins, us. So even when we do the good work and we start leading our people, the non-Brahmins, the everyday working people, the Brahmins have to steal our credit to try to manipulate the rest of us as though they're the smart ones. But they're absolutely the ones who do not give a damn about people, and they're like reptiles. They're literally reptiles. They know how to manipulate people. That's what their parents teach them from day one, Jesse. The day that they're born, they learn how to lie, how to cheat, how to slither like snakes. That's why I call this guy Vivek the Snake. I mean, think about it. His mother takes the data of a failed drug and for her son redoes it so he can make millions of dollars. This is a slithering, spineless set of invertebrates. That's who does this. And they teach their son to do that. This guy was all out for mask mandates. Now he says, oh, I was for mask mandates because Fauci was pro-mask. So I wanted to be anti-mask at the time, right? No, he was supporting, he was against mask mandates. I'm sorry, in 2020. He was against mask mandates because Fauci, was not for masks, okay? You see? So he says at that time, he was for mask mandates. You see, he wanted mandatory masks in 2020, okay? Because Fauci did not want masks. Does that make sense?
Yeah, he wanted to go opposite of whatever Fauci was.
Right. Just to act as though he was anti. And then, so I really want to emphasize this. Isn't it amazing that they had to go find a brown guy who literally steals my words, but who's a complete scumbag? Just think about that. It's a psychological operation. A friend of mine, Owen Benjamin, said, yeah, VA-SHIVA. They had to go find V-I-V-A-K. It's all an engram that they're playing with people. And that's how slithering scumbags these Brahmins are. When again, to you Indian Brahmins, listen, oh my God, he's attacking us. Yeah, well, I am attacking you because if you really cared, you would denounce Brahminism and the caste system. But you don't. You want to have your cake and eat it too. And to all the other multiracial Brahmins, we're coming after you because we're going to destroy the swarm. And the non-Brahmins, which are all people all over the world right now, it's not just India, we are rising up because we know and we're educating people how to identify the swarm. The swarm is, the Brahmins are people like Robert fucking Kennedy, who says one thing and does another. He was promoting lockdowns. The swarm are people like Donald fucking Trump. The swarm are people like Hunter Biden. The swarm are people like Joe Biden. The swarm are people like Bernie Sanders, who says he's a progressive, but he attacks people like me and others who are the real revolutionaries because he wants all the progressives to now support Biden. You see, that's how these guys work. On the left wing and the right wing, they have the fake fighters who sucker people back, and they're always supported. That's why they get visibility. So we live at a very important time for people to really understand this dynamic, that there's a global Brahmin swarm who think they're better than you. I mean, does it make any sense, Jesse, that you're born into the swarm and overnight you get all these privileges, you never have to work for anything? That never made sense to me, right? And you're born into a poor family and you have to struggle so hard and fight, right?
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
Right? I mean, people say, oh, are you believing in communism? No, I'm believing in what's called basic human justice, okay? That doesn't make any sense. And by the way, a lot of great data on the gun violence issue. One wing of the establishment says, oh yeah, we got to take away the guns because they're causing violence. The other wing of the establishment says, oh no, we want our guns, and the gun violence is being caused by people taking drugs and video games. Neither of them are right. It's income inequality. It is this inequality that creates great anger in people. And that's what the research has shown. That people get, a lot of these young kids are shooting people. They're actually trying to make it, and they see such inequality, and deep down, they get pretty angry. And a certain percentage of those people are going to flip out. You're creating the conditions for that. So, caste system, bullshit, okay? It should truly be about your deeds. And that's why these people, they don't give a damn about deeds. What they give a damn about is how they can manipulate people, faking shit that they never did. I mean, they never did any of the great works. They never busted their ass. Everything they did was through manipulation all the way from grade school, never really working hard, right? They couldn't get into the good schools. Mama and Papa paid off the schools, right, to get them in. Guys like me, we had to work all the way. Everything I've had to fight for. Everything you have, you've had to fight for, right? These people have never had to fight for anything. They're pure scumbags. And that's why I keep telling people, do not think you can negotiate with evil. Do not think you're going to somehow reform them. And particularly the biggest mistake people make is choosing the lesser of two evils. If you're into that wacko model, then you might as well just join evil. And that's why I believe, this flyer that we put out, the lesser of two evils is killing your children. Look at that graph, Jesse. I keep pointing that out. That red line is a life expectancy over the last 60 years of the US population. It's going downward. The gray line is the life expectancy of the rest of the industrialized nations, which are also going to follow America's model. So what's fundamentally happened is that I'm the only candidate pointing this out. And I point out the source, the Brahmanical swarm. And we also give the solution, right? The solution is, number one, each one of you must become a truth, freedom, and health warrior, meaning understand this dynamic. So you're not just relying on me. Each one of you must choose to want to become a hero and a leader, a global leader, where you understand the science. At Truth, Freedom, Health, it's literally a university where you can understand this, teach it to your kids, as many kids as you want. It's absolutely free. You can give it to as many kids as you want. All right. But you learn it. And all of these healthcare professionals should also learn system science, because without it, you frankly are not really doing healthcare. You're sort of bullshitting people wearing your little surgical garb or your white thing. You really don't understand how the body works as a system. So at Truth, Freedom, and Health, Jesse, we've put together this entire infrastructure, all right, that people, it took me 50 years to organize that, the science, the community, the curricula, and getting you on the ground. You know, at Truth, Freedom, and Health, we want people to get this flyer, get on the ground and educate people. Hey, this is what's going on to the life expectancy of your child. This is who caused it, this swarm, this Brahmin swarm. And this is what we must do to win against it. The good news is every day we're winning. We have many, many victories. And it was our lawsuit which exposed the backdoor portal to Twitter. It was our, work that awakened people to the election systems issue. And we have so many victories because we take this systems approach. So that's why I want to encourage everyone out there, your audience, and we're co-streaming as we usually do, our audience, to recognize the way out of this is you. There is no Messiah coming. There's no Brahmanical priest going to do some shaman, some prayers for you and help you. That's not how it works. I believe God looks upon you to see, are you worthy of heaven? Or do you want to be meek? Do you want to wait for one of their Messiah to help you? Yeah, and then you can keep staying on this earth for the rest of the world. But the warriors, the wise, who want to fight these bastards, who want to win against them, who want to be warriors, who want to be scientists, who want to be engineers, and we teach people how to do that. That's how we defeat and fight this Brahmanical swarm, because they're everywhere right now. But the good news is they're only a small percentage of them. And guys like me, they thought they would co-opt, but I never forgot where I came from.
So we do outnumber them at least 1,000,000 to 1. And, what I like about what you're teaching here is that, you teach people to be the hero in their own journey. And I think that's really important. And with these Brahmins, maybe they started as European Aryans, 1,500 years before Christ. You were saying around 800 after death AD, that they kind of amalgamated with the British monarchy to create this bigger entity.
Yeah, that was in the around it was really around 1700s. That's when that started occurring.
1700s, they amalgamated with this British Empire. That's kind of what we're all battling today. So
yeah, if you look at what the British did when they came to India, Jesse, they did not try to it's fascinating, right? Instead of trying to impose British law in India, the Battle of Plassey took place in 1757 when the British occupied India. Instead of imposing British law, they actually went and found old pre-8th century Brahmanical draconian Indian caste law, and they reimposed that. So they literally resurrected the caste system. They made the Brahmins of India at the highest levels in the Indian government, and then left for Britain. So from Britain, they were remote controlling India. You see what I'm saying? They didn't, and they used this other useless fool called Gandhi to transfer power. In fact, the Indian documents are called transfer of power. That's what they're called. They're not called the Declaration of Independence. Every Indian should wake up to this. They're called the transfer of power from the British Raj to the Indian Brahmanical elite. Yeah, so the Indian and the Indian civil service and their Brahmanical elite and the British are like this, you say? And that's where this comes from. But people need to understand that You are witnessing right in front of your eyes right now the creation of, not the creation, but the explosive growth of the modern global Brahmanical swarm, modern caste system. And I'm a fighter who's fought this and who knows how to destroy it because I've had to face this all my life. And the good news is these guys are reptiles. You know, there's an old slogan in the language I speak called Tamil, Jesse. You know what it says? It says, it's a funny slogan. It says, if you see a snake and you see a Brahmin, beat the Brahmin first. Okay? Okay? Because they consider these people highly slimy people.
Worse than a snake.
Yeah. And that's why I call Vivek the snake, because that's what he is. And everyone in America, you know, he's not a real American, nor is he a real Indian. He's a fake Indian and a fake American, because he does not, these people, be it Vivek, be it Biden, be it Trump, these people fundamentally hate us non-Brahmins, the real Americans, right? The working class who built this country, who built the world for that matter, right? People who work bottoms up. They believe they are smarter than us. They believe that bullshitting and lying is a very, very good thing to do. I'm telling you. They believe that you cheat and you lie and that's how you make your billions. And if you're not cheating and lying, you must be a dumb fuck. That's what they believe you are. If you play an honest game, you're not a smart person. You're not intelligent, clever like them. You must learn how to buy a drug for $5 million, have mama resurrected, take it public, cash out, make money. Ooh, that's a very intelligent person. You see? You must know, like Booby F. and Kennedy, in the middle of lockdowns, to say you support lockdowns, and then a year later say, oh, you're a fighter against Fauci, and write a book stealing all my material. You see, they think they're clever and they're smart. They actually think you're fucking stupid that you don't behave in their criminal ways. People cannot fathom this, but that's how these people are. They actually think your inability to lie and cheat like them makes you a weak person. It's hard to fathom for us, right? People actually work hard, but they actually despise the fact that you're honest, hardworking, and they actually adore the fact that they cheat and lie.
So you got a good name by Shiva as like the destroyer. You came here to destroy the Brahmin, you know, hold, I guess, over the people. You had mentioned people
so
like
it's interesting. Shiva is a destroyer of evil. Mm-hmm. You know, Shiva has this pitchfork, which the crazy, you know, not true Christians branded as a devil thing. The pitchfork represents a trident, which pierces darkness. That's what the pitchfork is. And the pitchfork is truth, freedom, health. And in some ways, you know, I guess I've taken on that Shiva energy to destroy this darkness. And everyone should do that. Everyone should take the pitchfork to them. And it's interesting, right? The elites are afraid of that. We'll all take up pitchforks. And we should take up pitchforks to them. And we should do that. And that's why, you know, in Massachusetts right now, there's a bill to completely further restrict the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment wasn't created for the elites to go shooting guns and hunting. That's what they want to say. Oh, there's a lot of... No, the Second Amendment was created for us working people to defend ourselves from the government, from the state, from the Brahmins, from the swarm. That's why the Second Amendment was created, you know? And in my view, you know, my, you know, cabinet member, the Department of Defense, you know, and by the way, I'll announce who that is, you know, who that's going to be. And we've had discussions, you know, my Department of Defense is going to make sure every American is trained to use weapons, has weapons, their kids are trained, everyone's trained, so we can defend ourselves from the government. That is what the Second Amendment was created for. And we should get out of all of these wars and ensure that we protect the borders of each country, right? I should protect my borders. You guys should protect your borders. But true Department of Defense will make sure that people can defend themselves. That's why the founders of the United States created the Second Amendment. And by the way, when everyone is fully armed, no one fucks around with people in communities. It's not like working people are going to kill themselves. What they have done is they've armed the gangsters and the criminals, and they've armed the state, and they've disarmed the working people. This is not right, because when working people want to rise up, they'll actually unleash the thugs upon us, right? All the thugs and the mafia and all these people, they have weapons. So it's very, very important that this is why all great revolutions always encourage freedom of speech and the First Amendment. And you know a revolution's going the wrong way when they first start disarming people. That's when you know it's becoming authoritarian. But, you know, my, you know, defense policy would go to local policy, which is we need to make sure that by the time a child is 18, they know how to use weapons. Every household should have enough weapons to protect themselves from the government. All right?
Enemies, foreign and domestic. Domestic enemies being right now, the enemies is the government. The way that they've been doing what they've been doing to the people, mandating these poisonous injections, taking all the money, sending it off for wars in these other places. It's supposed to be a Christian nation that's supposed to be thou shalt not kill, but in the 340 years of America's existence, it's been at war for 320 years. So it's only been 20 years that America hasn't been involved in war. And this is backwards to what they're trying to say, that it's supposed to be a Christian nation where, you know, you're supposed to love and honor thy neighbor, not go and steal God from them, their gold, oil, and drugs.
Yeah, I think we need to also distinguish, Jesse, the difference between the American people and the American government, okay? The U.S. government, okay? The government is run by the goal of power, profit, control. In fact, they don't even practice capitalism here anymore. It's state capitalism like China does, okay? Where a small set of elites circulate between government and big corporations. We have monopoly capitalism, state capitalism, right? Regulatory framework that is afraid of true competition. None of those people on that debate stage want me on that debate stage because I'll destroy them. They don't want real competition. They're pussies, all right? They're not men. They're not women. These people are scared little individuals who do not deserve power, and we must take it from them. And it's our God-given duty to take it from them by building a bottoms-up movement that raises people's consciousness. And when enough people's consciousness is raised, no one will buy their left-right bullshit. Everyone will see through a snake like Vivek, a bullshitter like Trump, a booby like Kennedy, you know, all these people. And that's what we need to do. It's about raising consciousness, right? Consciousness raising is more powerful than any weapons that you can have, right? Because once you raise one individual's consciousness, you can't bullshit them anymore. So that's what this is about. So our movement for truth, freedom, health is about raising your consciousness. I don't know, Jesse, I have a video I can play if you want to hear it. It may really help if you have time for it.
Yeah, no, we have as long as you have for here. So we're scheduled for 2 hours. And if we go over, I'm fine for as long as time you have.
Yeah, let me play this video so I can also go get a cup of water. I think I have to share. Can I share my screen with you?
Yeah, you press present at the bottom with the little plus and the computer box. Let me
share my screen here. Okay, so I'll share my StreamYard. So let me play this video, which your audience will enjoy, which really, listen, I'm into solutions. I like bashing these people because I hate them so much. And it's good to bash them. It's good to expose them. But you must also spend 80% of the time with the solution. The solution is you. The solution is you must become a warrior, scholar, an engineer, a scientist. Well, how do you do that? Because your school system ain't going to do it. If you're a working person, it's going to take you 50 years. Well, I've created a way that you can do that. And let me play that for you. And that's the movement for truth, freedom, and health. It's a university. It's a movement. It's many things. So let me play this for you. But I encourage every one of you to become part of this movement for truth, freedom, and health. So here's a video that'll share that.
We have allowed our country to be taken over from within. And the end goal is you will have a homogenized world where we will become slaves. Because there is a condition among the elites that really thinks they're better than you. Deep down inside them, that you don't deserve the freedoms you have. They don't. This reality is what people need to wake up to. And we need to all unite working people. There's only one movement that can do that. And that is the movement that we started creating here in Massachusetts, the movement for truth, freedom, and health. Look, I've been a student of politics since I was a 4-year-old kid, studying revolutionary movements, left wing, right wing. There's a physics, there's a nuclear science to destroying the establishment. To build a bridge, you need to understand Newton's equation. You need to understand the laws of gravity. You need to understand Poisson's ratio. There is a way to build a revolution. And that's why I put this together. My goal is to train an army of truth, freedom, and health leaders. We don't need followers like social media. We need leaders, but they need training because the educational system does not teach them history, nothing. So in 3 hours, that's what I've started doing. That's the solution. We got to train people. First, with understanding what a system is, the dynamics of all systems that affect nature. The second is understanding the interconnection between truth, freedom, and health. Freedom is the ability to move freely, communicate freely, talk freely. Without freedom, you cannot convert ideas, hypothesis into truth, which is science. And without freedom, you can't really get to truth. And without truth, you make up fake problems and fake solutions, which means you destroy our health. And without health, which is the infrastructure of us and our body, you can't fight for freedom. Truth, freedom, health. Third concept is it has to be bottoms up. Working people, people who work uniting. And what the right wing has done is whenever you say working people unite, that must be communist. Meanwhile, they've let the Democrats run unions, which suppress workers, completely corrupt. But when you look at the arc of American history, it's been when working people came up. We need to go local. Every solution I'm coming up with as a part of this movement, we're giving the science, which is the truth, and then we tell people what they can do on the ground. Like with election fraud, you don't need to wait for some lawyer. Our goal is to train people to go local, to go local, to go local, fight locally. Forget lawyers, forget politicians, forget celebrities. You've got to learn politics, and there is a science to it. They lock us down, we should be ready to shut them down. And the fourth part of this principle is the not so obvious establishment. So when you look at a system, there's always something that disturbs you from getting to your goal. Well, the biggest disturbance is the not so obvious establishment, which are those people who claim they're for you, on the left and the right. The Al Sharptons who tell black people I'm for you. The Tucker Carlsons. Do you think any true anti-establishment person will ever be on Fox or CNN? I don't think so. They both mislead working people back into the establishment. Without this solid understanding of political physics and theory, you're screwed. You're going to follow on the left wing, Bernie Sanders. Oh, he said something. Or Robert Kennedy. Scumbags. Or you're going to follow some right-wing talk show host. They're not going to lead us to liberation. It's us. We're building a bottoms-up movement, and that political physics, it's a nuclear science of change. Bottoms up. We have to organize to understand that there is people who talk a good game and then look at what they actually do, left and right. I'm sorry, Sean Hannity may say some good things, but I don't see the urgency in his voice to get something done, and it can only come when you weaponize yourself with the right knowledge. You need to be able to identify a rat. You know, Christ didn't go after the Romans, right? It was the Pharisees and the Sadducees who screwed him up. His own quote-unquote people. And that's where we're at. So these four concepts I've built into a curriculum where people can go to truthfreedomhealth.com, and it's an educational program. We need to train people in political theory. You need to have physics, and I've created that curriculum. People need to get educated. We need to get educated fast. And within a half an hour, I can teach people. 2 years of MIT control systems, I teach people those concepts. Then I apply it, anyone can understand it. And then you say, oh, I got to build a bottoms-up movement. They have to get politically astute, and then they have to go locally and act, not sit there on social media. They have to act locally, defy locally, do civil obedience locally, but with knowledge on how to build a movement. And the Senate campaign's expanded to the movement for truth, freedom, and health, and they can find it on truthfreedomhealth.com. So people can sign in, they can get access to a bunch of videos. If they want to take a course and become a Truth, Freedom, Health leader, I offer a full scholarship there. But we want people to make a commitment that they'll study, that they'll get certified, that they'll go do activities on the ground. So go to truthfreedomhealth.com.
That was great.
Think about it this way. People think it's intuitive to figure out a snake like Vivek or a scumbag like Kennedy. It's not, because the establishment is very clever. They have their obvious establishment, and they create this whole crew of scumbags. And you have to almost go to a university to understand this. And that's what Truth for Health, it's a university, it's a community. You really start understanding the physics, the science, the engineering, and then you awaken. And it's not for everyone because people want to remain fat, dumb, and happy. They don't have to learn this. But the people who are tired of being fucked over and over every 2 to 4 years. Some guy just sent me a text. Oh, what do you think about this guy, Vivek? And I said, you know what? You should come to the university and learn, because every 2 to 4 years, you're going to ask me about another scumbag and another scumbag and another scumbag. And you're going to waste your life, you know, because you don't take any action to fundamentally change the dynamics here. So that's what this is about. This is about fundamentally educating people so they don't ask and do stupid things with their lives anymore, following idiots, you know? But that's what the establishment wants. They want people to follow idiots. They want people to get a new Baskin-Robbins flavor, you know, of the week and a new politician, right? And they have a whole variety of these people on the left and right camps to manipulate people. But the reason people do this, Jesse, and the reason many people do not take the course is because that means they're going to have to do something, okay? That means they can't sit there and make excuses all day. After you take this course and after you understand it, by the way, we've made it accessible to every adult for pennies. And then if you as an adult take this, you can give it away to as many children as you want for absolutely free. But we want the adults to behave like adults. Because when you get awakened to these concepts, now you have to get off your butt. You say, wow, I got to go distribute a flyer in my neighborhood. And by the way, you know, just very quickly to mention to everyone, so I don't forget, is that, you know, I am running for president. We should talk about that, right? But it's important to people to understand that my run for president is quite done in a hands-on way. First thing, if you are working and you don't have time, go to shivaforpresident.com and get this bumper sticker. Why is this important? Well, you pay like $5 or less. You get this bumper sticker mailed to you. You put it on the back windshield of your car. 100,000 people per day will see it. Now you don't have to be on social media. You're getting across a very powerful message that one of us, me, is running for president, and our, you know, motto is truth, freedom, health. Okay, that's one thing. The people who want to take it to the next level, you can go to the same site, Shiva for President, and you can download this wonderful flyer. It's a one-page flyer. You can print it on a color printer, black and white, and it tells people, educate your neighbors, your friends, your children, people, if you really care, the lesser of two evils is killing our children, which means keeping voting for these two clown establishment is going to ensure that your child is already going to live lower life than you. You learn who the Brahmanical swarm is, and then you can invite people on the right side, and it's QR codes on it. It's really cool because you can use this physical paper to take people back to the online world, right? But they come to every one of these links leads them to our servers, not Facebook, not Google, but to our servers where they can come to, as I mentioned, they can come to one of our open houses, Jesse, every Thursdays at 11 a.m. and 8 p.m. We invite people to come to our open houses absolutely free. There's no charge again. You don't have to donate, none of that bullshit. This is about a noble service of building a movement built by us. 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's a full day for me. And I typically get up at 5 a.m., go to bed at midnight. But Thursdays, it's nonstop. We do training for 3 hours where you get to meet a lot of great people from all over the world. And then we repeat it again at 8 p.m. So that's the practical stuff, Jesse, where people have no more excuses anymore to say what to do. You know, Indians have this very funny thing. They go, what to do? What should I do? Right? There's so much corruption. What to do? Well, shut the fuck up. I'm telling you what to do. Okay? You need to get off your ass. Now, a lot of fake Indians, you know, fake Americans don't want to do anything because they just want to keep saying what to do and the system sucks. They want to watch Fucker Carlson all day long or Alex Jones exposing how fucked up the world is. Any idiot can expose how fucked up the world is. It is what do you want to do, okay? It's easy to expose stuff, but we have created a vehicle now for people to get off their butts and to fight evil, period. And we've created the university. We've created the community. We've created the infrastructure. So what do you have to do? You just have to get off your butts. Guys, I've done all the hard work for you. Seriously.
So there's a lot of grifters in the movement charging $6,000 for a course or $3,000, making it very unaffordable for most people. So you have a course that you have for people. Is this like an astronomical fee that they have to pay, or is this?
Let's talk about that. Look, it's not just a course. Let me show it to you. It's beyond a course. It's an entire environment. Okay. I think I have to go to my thing to share my screen. Oh, I can go here, right? Are you sharing your screen? Or is that,
yeah.
Is that you sharing your screen?
Yeah, I just put it up.
Okay, so I can share my screen here, right? So let me share with you guys. Actually, let me go here. So everyone can go to truthfreedomhealth.com. And if you go there, let me go. I think you can see the screen there now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you go to Truth Freedom Health, right, what do you see here? First of all, you see a website. It says Get Educated or Be Enslaved. The right side is the Truth Freedom Health University, community, whatever you want to call it. All right. But we have a couple of videos. Why Truth Freedom Health? The Swarm video and the video I just played you. We have gear because everyone started wanting gear because they want to be associated like with a university. But we have 500,000 users all over the world in 120 countries. And most importantly, when you go through this, you can read stories of transformation of everyday people, okay, all over the world, from Finland to Iceland to United States. And our system works. We win. We're not just whiners. We have a history of winning major lawsuits, exposing people. The problem that we're addressing, Jesse, is that there's a lot of information. But just because you have a lot of information doesn't mean people are getting healthier. Look at all the people that 2.5 billion people are obese. People feel hopeless, right? And so on. And the reality is, from a systems approach, we educate people that just because you have information doesn't mean you get to liberation. In fact, people take a non-systems approach. They don't expose the whole, and people get confused. They get complacent, desperate, or left or right. And the establishment wants there, and we educate people that these are the people who you think are fighting for you, but they're actually part of the problem. And then we educate people that in order to get to wisdom and clarity, you need knowledge. Knowledge is different than information. Knowledge means you have to understand the science of systems. So if you're ready to do that, we've created a system for you. It's the education. So there's a university, 12-part educational course. Then we give you all the books, okay? So you could just study if you want. Then you get the theory if you want to do the science. Then you get a tool that teaches you how your body is a system. You apply these same principles. Then we teach you how food is a system. Then we do ongoing lectures twice, once a month, once in 2 months on various systems. Then we have a way that you can learn, you can teach, and you can serve. We want people to become teachers. Then I do one-on-ones. Then we have a community, you say. Then we give you tools so you can get on the ground and educate people. We've created our own version of Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So you see, Jesse, I hope it's clear. It's not any one thing. It's a complete system unto itself. Does that make sense? And so what we've done here is a system that is a system to educate you to not be bamboozled, okay? It's a system to educate you that the way out of this is you, and we've created in some ways a university for doing this, okay? But it's more than a university. It's tools that you can heal your own body with this approach. Now, I used to teach this for MIT to, where people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars. When I took it out of MIT, I wanted to give it away for free. No one wanted it. So we said, okay, because you're so fucked up with the concept of money, we're going to charge you, less than, a third of a penny a day, right? Right? Whatever that is, or a dollar, 30 cents a day, which is $100. So you pay $100 and you get access to all of this. But now if you get it for people like, oh, wow, you're giving all this for nothing, and more, I want you now to give this course away to as many children as you want. So you can gift it, Jesse, to 1 million kids as you want. Well, how much is that worth? So ideally, people would accept this for the knowledge. And then we have people just donating to us. They take the course. There are people who've donated tens of thousands of dollars because they want to gift other people, right? But you can't get this. In fact, and there's an MIT professor who has his students who take his systems course, refer them to my course. And MIT students are paying, you take the executive course and they charge you $20,000, $30,000, okay? So I don't know what to put a value on me. So I have a lot of really jealous people say, oh, Dr. Shiva's promoting his course. No, you fucking scumbag. If that's what you think I'm doing, then fuck off, because we don't need your money. What we do need is we need educated people. In fact, if you want to help, why don't you donate money so we can educate a whole bunch of other kids? Because if you take the course, again, I repeat, you can give it away to as many kids as you want. Now, I've been fortunate because I've created stuff and invented things. I don't have to do this. I've made money so many other ways. If we really wanted to make money, we'd probably charge $100,000 for this course, or we charge $10,000, you know? But no one's going to be able to afford that, man. And this is for everyday working people. We have a woman who's a hairdresser. She takes a course, and she's taught a PhD out of University of Chicago. All right. So this is radical, and people don't know what to do. Well, how do we critique him? You can't really, because there's nothing to critique here. And if you're really destitute, then we'll give you a full scholarship. But we don't want people scamming us, you know? But the idea is, if you're an adult, pay the meager money, take it, finish it. It's hopefully an incentive for you to finish it, and then give it away as many kids as you want. I mentioned I went back to my village in India and we gave it away to 1,500 kids. Okay, so 1,500 times 100 is what? Okay, that's $150,000, a value that you're giving away. But it's a lot more than that. But the fundamental issue here is that we need to arm and train, raise people's consciousness. You see, to understand the interconnection between freedom, truth, and health. There are 9 engineering principles. The elites, by the way, learn the science of systems, and that's how they're able to manipulate people, Jesse. And if we don't learn this science, you're screwed. And I want to make sure we at least have around, 1 million people all over the world who learn this, about 10,000 leaders who learn this. And it's over for them. If there's 10,000 people who understand this, no one can bamboozle any more people with the left and right narrative anymore. It's over. So it's much more powerful than even a gun. Knowledge is much more powerful. That's the real revolution. So the knowledge of system science is what we need to do. Now, running for office, what will I do as president? I'll using that megaphone, we'll teach system science every day out of the Oval Office. We'll do videos like this, Jesse, every day. Nothing's going to change for me, because I'm going to still continue to be an educator and mobilize 8 billion people. The reality is the presidency is corrupt, the legislature is corrupt, the judiciary is corrupt. So I would be a charlatan, a scam artist. Oh yeah, when I become president, I'm going to do this. No, when I become president, I'm going to continue teaching what we teach at our town hall, which are, how do you take care of your immune system? How do you eat locally on a budget? How do you educate your kids to think? How do you become an innovator? How do you balance your checkbook and live frugally, right? So you save money, right? And how do you become a leader? That's how we change the world. Government ain't going to do shit for you. If you think government's going to help you, you're out of your mind. Government is here to enslave you. So my running for president is getting access to that megaphone. So all the knowledge that I have collectively and individually, we're going to share. I mean, think about what I did in 2020 with a little camera. We educated 500 million people. We saved millions and millions of people's lives. Now imagine having the podium. Imagine me as president educating, okay, 8 billion people. I'm the president of the United States. I'm going to teach you how your immune system works. And this is why you need to get out in the sun. This is why you need to eat more particular types of fruits and vegetables. This is how you should walk away from your dumbass fucking doctor who knows nothing about your body as a system. You should be your doctor. Imagine that as president. Okay, next topic. I'm going to teach you how you can go support your local farmer, okay? How you should support, local farming principles. Fuck the USDA. They're all about screwing you over. A local farmer, he can't even butcher his own lamb. He's got to take it to a USDA certified lab, and they double the price. If it's my fucking cow, I want to butcher it. I should be able to do it. And if you want to buy from me and I do it cleanly, I will. And if I don't, you're probably going to not come back to me. That's a free open market economy, right? So they don't want people to do that. I will teach your kids how to think. So you don't have to go to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars at MIT. I will teach your kid in a few days how to think, systems thinking. Which president's going to do that? Those guys are numbnuts. When I met with Trump for those 2 hours, he was the most sorry-ass person I met. He looked like an out-of-work actor sitting in the back room without his makeup on. Completely a foolish individual, but he's an actor. That's all he is. They're all actors. So think about having a president who will educate your children, who will educate businesses, who will mobilize you to build a bottoms-up movement to actually destroy the swarm, the government. So the goal is to put me out of a job. That's what the president should be about, to make it all decentralized communities.
So you mentioned the whole system is corrupt, the judicial, the municipal, legislative, everything is corrupted, government is corrupted. People that are in the government seem to have this Brahmin mentality where they have superiority over others. I think that could be fair to say what a Brahmin is. How do you expect to get into a corrupted system that has corrupted voting machines, corrupted people behind it, where the whole system seems like a cesspool of corruption? How do you feel that you could potentially become president in such a corrupted, cesspool system?
Well, look, let's talk about what happened in 2020, Jesse. I ran for U.S. Senate, right? They never expected a true outsider, true non-Brahmin to ever run, who actually knows how to build stuff, engineer stuff, invent stuff, right? A bunch of doofuses and scumbags and snakes are supposed to run. And what happened when I ran? They stole my election. But what did I do? Did I go boo-hoo-hoo, they stole my election? What did I do, Jesse? I exposed the entire election systems. It was my work that did that. The chain of custody, the election systems. Trump stole all of my work, and another fool, sold pillows off of it. It's talking about crazy, wacky shit. But it was an engineer and a scientist who ran who exposed it. Because I ran, we exposed Fauci. Because I ran, we taught people how to protect their immune system. We used that platform. I consider that a victory. I would consider myself the senator in exile in Massachusetts. I won. But I've done more damage to the swarm by running. Did I not? Think about the 500 million people that heard about us. Now I'm running for president. Imagine how we're going to help 8 billion people, because they know they're going to cheat from us. But now we have 350,000 people on the ground. We have volunteers up the wazoo. And by the way, everyone listening, get off your butt, go to Shiva for president, and God damn it, volunteer. If you want to give me money, great. You give me money, I give you books and things, I educate you. So you get something back anyway. But get on the ground and volunteer. Don't watch this and say, oh, thank you, Dr. Shiva. If you like me and you like what I'm saying, get on the ground and volunteer, because all of you are going to become veterans of war. You're going to fight on the ground. You're going to learn stuff. So, Jesse, we win anyway. Every bumper sticker that goes up is a victory. Every one of these that handed up, it's shattering the swarm, right? And even when they try to cheat us and steal from us, they're losing. Because look, if you go on social media, you will see so many people tweeting, hey, Dr. Shiva is the one that exposed that first. How come you're making him invisible, fucking Joe Rogan? Hey, Dr. Shiva is the one who exposed Fauci. Why are you giving all this limelight to Kennedy? You see, that's 1,000 razor, blades that we're hitting them with. And everyone is doing it bottoms up now. So every time they make me invisible, they're losing. Because people know what happened in 2020. The cat got out of the bag. The genie is out of the bottle. You can't put it back in. And that's why I do interviews with guys like you, right? We do not, and we will not give these interviews to people like Joe Rogan, and they'll never do it, because if I were on his podcast right now, he's going to lose all of his podcast, all of his audience, because they're going to say, fuck, this guy's a real deal. You motherfucker, you hid him from us, right? His audience is gone. Russell Brand, that dweeb, right? He would be gone. That's why they will not put me on, because the instant I go on, that's what happens. They're so fucking jealous of me. They're scared of this non-Brahmin. The media is only for Brahmins, right? Brahmins only. And we're not supposed to be on their media. It's like whites only from the old days, but it's not race anymore. It's Brahmins only, right? Brahmin only media. Bomb. Okay, that's what they have. They have their media, and they do not want a bad Indian, or not a good Indian like me, on their Brahmin media. Because they're like, wait a minute, this guy's smart, intelligent, says it like his, he fucking curses like us. He's one of us. What the fuck? Why have you hidden him from us, motherfucker? I'm going to go watch him. So that's why they're afraid, Jesse. And let them keep making us invisible. The more invisible they make us, the more visible we become. You know, in the spiritual traditions, it says the true angels of God are the invisible ones. You don't see them, right? Your guardian angels. And our movement is developing and growing guardian angels. That's what we're doing. Real angels, powerful, enlightened people who are in it for the right reasons, to shatter the swarm. And that is the job of the hour. So anyone listening, the best thing you can do is don't just listen, act. I've given you so many ways. You can get a little bumper sticker, put it on your car if you want to be lazy. You can go download a flyer, go hand it out at your local grocery store. You know, there's a video of me, look at my stream. I went out and a bunch of people showed up. We had a guy from Florida come up. We had a guy from Indiana show up, flew in here, and a woman from England flew in to hand out flyers in the Massachusetts subways. This is how we win, guys. They're fucked. They don't know what to do with this. They control all of social media, but they cannot control you putting this on your car, you wearing Dr.SHIVA gear, or you handing out a flyer. I say, fuck them. Get off the ground, you get off your butt, shatter the swarm.
So it's not so much about winning the presidential election. If that happens, then that would be great. It's more about rattling the cages, you know, making sure people are aware that this is such a corrupt system, that there's other options, that we can take back our sovereignty, but not through political systems, which is totally corrupted anyways.
Jesse, you know, as we talked about the symbol of Shiva, Shiva destroys illusion, Maya. The illusion is they have any power. You know, a friend of mine gave me a book written by this guy who was the Senate president or the Speaker of the House of Massachusetts. He said, and the book is interesting. He says, everyone used to come to me. He goes, they didn't understand. I have no power. I get the power by thinking they think that I have power. Do you know none of these people have any power? None. There's 8 billion of us.
And they're cowards. They're cowards. They're small men. They're small men with big, you know, D syndrome, and they're very, very weak. And they only use that fear to gain that power that they perceive, you know, that they have over us.
Their physiognomy looks like that of reptiles. A lot of these Brahmins look like reptiles. They're reptilian. They're invertebrates. Academia, I don't know if you know, the Brahmin academia is a bunch of pussies. You know, the way they work is they sit in their lofty rooms and they write these papers. When you expose one of them and you attack them publicly, all of them run away. They slither away. So I'm here to tell you, as the son of poor village farmers, a working class kid that has to fight these guys every day of my life. They are pussies, and it is our duty to shatter the swarm. And that is why they make me invisible. That is why they made Malcolm X invisible, right? That is why they make all of us who are truly fighting them invisible. But let them keep making us invisible, because we're going to go offline and their visibility on their medium is going to become irrelevant. So I'm telling everyone, you know, it's taken me a long time. We have the solution, and the solution is you. And the only thing you have to do now is to get off your ass. Which means I want you to get up in the morning when you wake up, close your eyes for 15 minutes and meditate. I must get off my ass. I must get off my ass. I must get off my ass. Truth, freedom, health. Let me get off my ass. Let me put a bumper sticker up. Let me put get off your fucking ass, man. Because if you truly care about your children, maybe you don't care about yourself, remind you of that graph. They are killing your children. Your child's lifespan is going to be less than yours. So
now
our campaign, by the way, does have very, very important policies, healthcare. But our policy for healthcare, Jesse, is not about, I'm going to do this when I get into office. No, right now, I'm going to tell you what you can do. Here's the immune system. This is how you boost your immune system. You win. You put me in office. I'm going to share that with 8 billion people. Our policy and by the way, every Thursdays at 8 p.m., I teach you how to do that. That's our healthcare town hall. What is my environment town hall? I'm going to teach you who's your local farmer. How do you shop locally on a budget? Boom. That is our environmental policy. Because when you learn to appreciate your local farmer, you're going to make sure the water is protected, There's no glyphosate. You're not poisoning the environment. Education. I'm going to teach you how to teach your kid to be a systems thinker without going to MIT. I actually teach you the course at 8 p.m. All right? Now, who else is going to teach you that? So our campaign and so on, our town halls are actually giving you the solution. You see what I'm saying? It's a radical revolutionary campaign. Now, if you make me president, I'm just going to do more of this. If they steal the election, we've already screwed them because 8 billion people, because of people watching this, right, and seeing this, they're going to learn. We reached 500 million people because of our Senate campaign. We're going to reach all 8 billion people because of our presidential campaign. They're toast, Jesse. It's just how soon do we want to get there? And that comes down to you and you and you and you and you saying, wow, this guy's figured this shit out. He invented email. He's now created the Truth Freedom Health system. Let me just start using it. Yeah, Lulu Erickson says, I need to get off my ass. Yes. And by the way, when you go hand a flyer door to door, you also get to lose weight, okay? Because you're walking, okay? You get to meet people. Your brain, you get healthier because you're no longer lonely. You said, wow, I was handing out a flyer. That guy took my flyer, right? You get excited, right? You feel you're an agent of change. You have to learn how to talk to people in real time. You may even meet the love of your life. In fact, that's what's happened. Many of our people meet people who are like them, you know? So it's a lot of other side benefits you get, okay?
So our audience is about 50% American and 50% the rest of the world. I'm Canadian, with our biggest cities being in my province in Calgary and Edmonton, and then also Australia and Sydney and Melbourne. So do people want to have these stickers, even if they're not in America, on their car?
Yeah, people are putting these. I mean, this is like a global brand for truth, freedom, and health, you know? All over the world. I mean, we're in 120 countries now. Everyone's getting those stickers, right? Because look, what happens in America is going to come to your country very soon because America funds NATO, America owns WEF, America owns all of these organizations. So we have a huge opportunity, but this is a global movement. If you go to Truth, Freedom, Health, you'll see we're in 120 countries. We have someone from Antarctica who's taken the course. I don't know who. Samoa. We have people in every part of the world. It's global. And it has to be global. You can't just have a quote unquote revolution in one country because the elites will surround you. We have to be decentralized. And that's what this is. Decentralization, by the way, Jesse, doesn't mean disorganization. It means you have figured out the core dynamics and you're going to educate everyone.
So you had mentioned how these Brahmins are the ones that feel superior to others, the nobility or whatever. So how does this swarm suppress us, and what is this actual swarm? It's not just one method that they use, it's scattered throughout the world through many different methods, right?
Yeah, I think if people go to truthfreedomhealth.com, there's a video right there called Shatter the Swarm. 15 minutes. Everyone watch it tonight. If you love your family and your kids, watch it. It took me 59 years to do that video. Okay. It's gotten like 40 million views in spite of all the shadow banning. Okay. All over the world. So watch that video because it'll explain. But the swarm fundamentally is a decentralized, multiracial, right? What do you got, John? Right. And by the way, the international people want the bumper stickers because international people cannot give funding to a U.S. federal campaign, but they can go to vashiva.com and you can get them there, okay? Or you can go to, John, you can put a link in at truthfreedomhealth.com, right? John will put a link in truthfreedomhealth.com. So the federal election rules are you cannot be funding outside people, giving any money to a U.S. federal campaign, right? But if you want this T-shirts and all that, you can go to a different website because a bunch of people are putting them out all over the world. Okay. You can even put them up on your website. But the fundamental issue here is that we now have, a global movement that is dedicated to truth, freedom, health. That's what it's really about. But we have people in Finland. We have people in Africa. We have people in India. We have people in Australia, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, I mean, everywhere, Samoa, right? UK, Ireland. It's taken off on its own We haven't spent advertising dollars. There's no brand person here. It just occurred all organically. The other thing that's happening, Jesse, is because we have so many people, we've had to now create a structure. We let it sort of emerge. And now we have a leadership training program. Again, we don't charge anything for this. Saturdays, people come to leadership, and we're deploying leaders all over the world.
So I've been researching things for 30 plus years. I had political aspiration to become prime minister of the country. And if I became prime minister, I would only be for 24 hours because I would disband the whole entire government afterwards. And then everyone would have to write a letter why their position is important, how does it benefit Canadians as a whole in order to keep their job. And we would restructure things based on actual significance and importance. So what are some of the party lines that you are running on? Besides the truth, health, freedom, which obviously that's really important, but, maybe that you could share with the audience here.
Well, I'm being very serious. What I meant, these platforms, number one, recognize that the government is not going to do anything. But I'll give you one piece that materializes that. You see, if you look at the government structure, you have the presidency, right? You have the lower house, you have the upper house of Congress, and then you have the judiciary, right? This is how the balance of powers was done. However, what you notice is that by the time someone gets elected in the lower house, they have a 2-year term. The day they get elected, Jesse, they're trying to get what?
Re-elected.
Okay. In the Senate, it's a 6-year term, the upper house. The day they get elected, what are they trying to do? Get reelected. Okay. My view on this is that it's not just term limits. You have to make sure that people also have a substantial amount of time in that they feel, I could do something. So I believe the lower house term should be expanded to 4 years, 1 term, and you're done. The upper house should be extended to 8 years, right? You're done. The presidency should also be an 8-year term. So you come in, and all these elections should not be 2 4-year cycles. It should all be on a 4-year cycle. So everyone is elected new, right? The presidency may stay there 4 more years, the Senate 4 more years, but you're gone. You're done. But you felt like you had a substantial time. I mean, 4 years is a lot of time, right? 4 years of college, which is a lot of time, right? You can compress that. So that's one thing. It's term limits combined with this resynchronization. That's one thing. Now what you've done is people now focus for the good of the country, which means people will put, there's 3 buckets of a budget. Infrastructure, which no one votes for because it's a long-term game, right? They're in it for the short term. The next is giving free shit away. Everyone likes to give free shit away because they keep getting reelected. That's called equity. And then maybe security. That's how the budget is. We want people decisions to be what's good for the people. But they're not going to do that if they're in for 2 4 6-year cycles. You see what I'm saying? It's got to be, hey, you get elected president, you get to be here 8 years and then you're gone. Senate, 8 years and you're gone. And you know what? House of Representatives, you're here 4 good years and then get the fuck out. That's how it should be. So that's one example of an infrastructure change. The second fundamental thing is, and I've said this since my Senate campaign, and all these guys have stolen it from me, that service is citizenship. I think right after you graduate college, there should be a service project you do for 2 years, whatever it is. You help in the inner cities, you may serve in the military, but you have to do this because you don't know shit about life. I mean, when I used to teach at MIT, the best students came from the military. They had gone from, high school to the military. And when they came to study. They weren't goofballs. It wasn't mama and papa helping them, just to get in. So I think that's another very, very important aspect of this. I've spoken about healthcare. I'm going to keep going on healthcare, but the middlemen in healthcare called the GPOs and PBMs are the ones that need to be eliminated because they're the ones who are incentivized to keep the cost of healthcare high, which is why you need such high cost health insurance. You eliminate them, healthcare costs dramatically drop overnight. It's a cost that's high. I don't know which ones you want me to go to, but if you look at people who talk about pro-life and pro-choice, both of these people only have half of the problem. The pro-life people who are in the evangelical Christians talk about pro-life, but after you come out of the womb, they're not into pro-life. Many of these people support Monsanto. They don't watch what the kid eats. Pro-life should be, let's be all the way pro-life. Beyond just coming out of, beyond protecting what comes out of the womb. You see what I'm saying? So the pro-life people are really not pro-life. They're sort of half-assed pro-life. And the pro-choice people, as you can see, do not support choice in whether you have to wear a mask or whether you have to wear mandates or none of that, right? They're pro-choice to the extent that it meets their irresponsible needs, but not pro-choice for the true extent of what choice really means. So I could keep going on, but fundamentally, the radical approach here is a systems approach. You say, we need to pass programs that incentivizes the individual to take care of their health versus some doctor or some institution. And there's some very, very powerful programs that I have that can do that. You start talking about innovation. Innovation can occur anytime, any place, by anybody. I know, because I created email as a 14-year-old kid long before I came to MIT. We should ensure that the incentives that today's exist for venture capital and private equity to dump money into centers of innovation are de-incentivized, because what they do is they take all their money and they put it into Silicon Valley, or they put it into one locale. When, if you think I created email for less than $5,000, how many other smart 14-year-olds are out there? You see innovation is more like organic food or weed. It just grows everywhere. Innovation is in everyone's DNA. The localization of innovation into these centers is not creating innovation. Facebook ain't an innovation. Twitter ain't an innovation. In fact, you could argue over the last 70 years, there haven't been any great innovations. In fact, innovation is controlled and actually being suffocated by these policies, by a few controlling where the money goes.
What would you do to break up the medical mafia's control through lobby groups, through money, through, taking a baby that comes out of the womb, clamping and clipping the umbilical cord before the mother transfers the nutrients, start injecting vitamin Ks and all these type of thing, all these other injections that it's actually harming the child? Like, the whole system seems like it's doomed for failure. It's, goes against, what's natural and God-given. And it seems like they have control. They can steal children from their parents. If you don't follow doctor protocols, they use child protective services. It's a weaponized. There's a whole system that's very, very corrupted, that you just wanted to know how you would help to deal with that stuff.
Everything you've said, it's not any one issue. What system science teaches you, if you are unhealthy, it's not one thing did it. Oh, I didn't exercise. Well, you didn't exercise, and you were stressed, and you didn't eat right? And you didn't walk. And it's like 5 different things. And to get healthy, it's not any one thing you have to do. You have to do a whole bunch of stuff. It has a synergistic effect. Okay? When you look at this graph here, it's not any one thing that got us to this point. It is all those things you just said and more. So how do you solve this? You need a systems overhaul. You cannot solve this by just tweaking one little puzzle. That's why I say you have to shatter the swarm. So if we're serious about this, we have to build a bottoms-up movement that occurred in the 1900s all over the world, and we have to put the fear of God into these people, and we have to seize the means of production. That's what needs to happen. What I mean is working people need to seize the means of production. And that can happen in a very powerful bottoms-up nonviolent revolution, which is when enough people wake up, people say, fuck you, I'm not going to work for you anymore. I'm not doing that job at Whole Foods. You know what, Jeff Bezos, we working people today own Whole Foods. We've seized the means of production, and we're going to use the means of production of Whole Foods to make sure more organic products get out there faster. We're going to make sure, you see what I'm saying? Because it is working people. We're the ones who created these means of production. We are the means of production. So that's the next movement that needs to occur. And so I'm about a systems overhaul. All these little tweaks are never going to happen, man. It's going to be like 1,000 years. And the area under that curve of 1,000 years, more and more destruction is going to take place. The issue is, how do we accelerate change? Well, there's a physics to that, as I spoke about in the Truth, Freedom, Health video. If you're going to build an airplane, you need to understand the physics, right? If you're going to fundamentally shatter the swarm, how are you going to do that? Well, I'm going to have some good ideas. I'm going to run for office. Really? You need to understand the dynamics of this system. You need to educate enough people on the science. And that's the science that I've discovered, Jesse. As powerful as Newtonian mechanics, as powerful as Maxwell's laws. That is what I've discovered. And more importantly, I've made it accessible to you. Now, some people are going to listen to, oh, yeah, okay. All right. Wow, he's saying a lot of good stuff. And then a finite set of people are going to say, I'm going to learn that. And that's who I'm looking for. I'm looking for those people who truly want to be warriors and scholars, who are serious. The dilettantes, I support you, will be there for you. But the goal is to build a movement that is of enlightened people who want, and they come from all different walks of life, all the non-Brahmins, right? True. And we will become the true Brahmins in the original tradition, the learned ones. You see, Brahmins were supposed to be people who came bottoms up through their meritocracy. So we have fake Brahmins right now, It's not real Brahmins. It's a fake Brahmin.
What's your thoughts on the climate change that's going on? That's another means of dividing people. Some people believe it's BS. Some people believe it's real. Ultimately, they're spraying the skies. The forests are burning hotter and faster. It's not raining the same. When it rains now, my car is filthy dirty. It never used to be like that 20 years. Stuff is happening in the air. I don't think it's happening from cow farts. I don't think it's happening from us. I think they're engineering this climate. They've had climate patents since 1926. So in the last 100 years, how much has that technology that they can engineer the weather, but they're blaming it on your car or cow farts opposed to what they're doing to us? Do you believe that they are engineering the weather?
Again,
or do you think that this is natural?
I'm a warrior, a scientist, and an engineer who actually, has meticulously studied this. Right. So I can explain this. I actually did a video, Jesse, that's out there almost like for the last 7-8 years. And I did this almost 10 years ago, a video that talks about the entire carbon tax scam. Okay. Follow the money. Okay. And by the way, Al Gore is predicted now to become the first carbon tax billionaire. Okay. First climate change billionaire. All right. So let's talk about this. All right. What we need to understand is the following. I've done many videos. I'll keep it simple, okay? If you want to model the Earth's surface temperature, how do you do that? That's what they're basing this on. They have all these people got together and they created mathematical models. Their mathematical models predict the Earth's temperature is going to go up 2 degrees because of CO2. And by the way, they're very duplicitous. They conflate carbon with CO2. That's like conflating hydrogen with water, H2O, right? Very clever. But anyway, and even Elon Musk, that scumbag, does that, okay? He's very clever. Clever monkey, devil. So what they've done is they've said, okay, humans are creating CO2, which is a greenhouse gas, and the greenhouse gas is going to affect the convection of heat that's coming from the sun to the earth. And typically the heat that comes from the sun to the earth, by the way, which is 340 watts per meter squared, and no one disputes this, 340 watts per meter hits the earth and 340 watts per meter should be dissipated. If let's say 5 watts per meter is not dissipated, it's going to increase the temperature of the earth by 1 to 2 degrees. That's the conversion, okay? So they say that greenhouse gases are going to affect that dissipation, that convection. How did they come to this? Well, they mathematically modeled the ocean waters which is a fluid, water is a fluid, with the atmospheric fluid, which is a gaseous fluid. And they modeled 2 very complex fluids. In fact, they're called turbulent fluids. By the way, you cannot model one turbulent fluid. If you model one turbulent fluid, you will win the millennial prize for $1 million. No one's done it. But somehow these guys have modeled 2 turbulent fluids, which is an impossible problem to solve, by the way. And based on this bogus model, they have predicted, the temperature is going to go up and so much ice is going to melt on the Arctic Ocean. If people actually turn to, I believe, page 300 of the IPCC report, they will find a graph of all the predictions. Now, you would think if you have 100 different models, all of them should converge. 80% of the ice is going to melt on the Arctic, right? You know what they converge to? They don't converge. One model says 100% will melt. Another says nothing will melt. Another says 50% will melt. It's bogus. It's not science. Evidence is reproducible predictions. This is not fucking science. Now, next to me, after I exposed this early, Dick Lindzen, a professor at MIT, exposed this, and 140 other professors attacked him. He was the earliest guy into the at the earliest age admitted to the National Academy of Engineering. So the point is, we have a bunch of people who don't fucking understand science, who don't understand engineering, and they're one idiot is following another idiot. And by the way, Elon Musk is a fucking idiot, bullshitter. Okay, he supports Greta Thunberg. He supports a climate change narrative. Why? Because he said he gets to sell electric cars, mining cobalt carbon using black Africans who he actually hates because he grew up in apartheid South Africa where all of them had to carry voter IDs, and he's a fucking Brahmin who believes he's better than the rest. And that's why he promotes another Brahmin called Vivek, and they promote, another Brahmin called Fucker Carlson. You see, it's one Brahmanical swarm who promotes bullshit. But here, a non-Brahmin is here to tell you that the Earth, the sun is 6,000 degrees Kelvin. It puts 340 watts per meter, 140 watts per meter bounce back. The other 200 watts per meter through a process called convection get dissipated. And guess what? Their mathematical models never included clouds. Clouds are like the iris of your eye. If I shine a bright light, your iris closes, right? If you're in darkness, your iris opens up. The clouds allow radiative dissipation to take place, and they ensure homeostasis takes place, just like your hypothalamus in your brain controls your body temperature beautifully. It's all bullshit. And it's occurring because we're giving awards to an idiot who gets a D. He may fail all of his math. Oh, Johnny deserves an award because he didn't get the answer right. 2 + 2, yeah, Johnny said was 10, but please give him an award. And the guy who got 2 + 2 is 4, he gets the same fucking award. This is the state we're in. Yeah, so the climate change stuff is nonsense, just bullshit. And by the way, this Vivek the Snake Brahmin bullshitter, 6 months before the debate, he said, yeah, climate change, I'm all behind it. The Earth's temperature is increasing. During the debate, climate change is a hoax. So all the MAGA cult people vote for him. That's the level of duplicity that's going on, Jesse.
Yeah, see, I'm a math guy, and back when I was in high school 30 plus years ago, I got 100% on my departmental, which was me and some Oriental guy was the only two people that got 100% on this exam. And so things have to mathematically make sense. And the Earth goes on natural warming and cooling cycles. So as the Earth is getting warmer, they're playing upon these things and their fears. And then this carbon, it's only 0.04% carbon in the air. So even if they did it to
wait, do you carbon or do you mean CO2?
Well, actual carbon in the air, it's 0.04%. So it's less than 0.5% of actual carbon in the air. So they're doing this big carbon sting to try to make money off of this carbon. But even if it went to 0.03 or 0.05, no amount of money that they could take would make any difference on that amount of carbon. And carbon is actually food for our plants and our vegetation. So them attacking carbon, we're also carbon-based. So attack on carbon is like an attack on us. And, that's one of the things that, we're having to deal with, especially here in Canada. The prices have gone so crazy because of this carbon tax.
Yeah, so in Canada, the carbon tax is around $70 to $80 per ton. They want to get it up to, in the next 4 years, up to about $170 per ton. That's a carbon tax. And that's why forest fires are a very wonderful marketing vehicle for this. If they really wanted to, in Canada, I did a whole wildfire series on this. If they wanted to stop fires, number one, they'd fund infrastructure so you have enough, these aircraft that can drop the water. You would make arson a serious crime, which they don't. They let arsonists get away. You would allow farmers who know how to stop the fires through natural methods do it. In fact, in Canada, when farmers do their natural thing, the police come and stop them, right?
Yep.
So, and they don't do proper forest management, which means they love forest fires, right? Forest fires means you can scare people. See, the temperature's getting hot. We need to stop this. By the way, we're going to tax you. Oh, okay. I guess I should be happy, giving, a huge percent of my income to stop these forest fires. So that's what it's about, Jesse. But I'm telling you, none of this is going to change unless we build a bottoms-up movement. Then the question is, how do you build a bottoms-up movement? It is building something. You need to understand the engineering science. Well, where do I learn that? Well, Truth, Freedom, Health. And it has to be global. And it has to be a community. It has to be a university. It has to be us coming together. It has to be us learning not only to be warriors, but on the ground. I can't overemphasize this. People who have actually, a plumber understands what I'm saying. A electrician understands, an engineer, because plumbers, electricians, and engineers, we have to build shit that works. We can't bullshit. Because if we bullshit, pipes break, things fall out of the sky, right? Scientists can bullshit. Politicians can bullshit. But if we are going to build a movement, for God's sake, treat it with honor, no different than building, laying down pipe in your home. There's a physics to it. And I've discovered those scientific principles. Learn it. If you don't want to learn it, great. But if you're serious, you have the luxury now. I've figured it all out. Seriously. So that's where we're at. One is the exposition. The other is recognizing that in order to defeat this, we have to have enough people educated as leaders on the ground who mobilize people bottoms up. So the real issue, 8 years ago when I did the climate change video, the goal here is the Paris Accords, for example, allows China to double their pollution, allows India to double, right? How is that a benefit? So they get to double their output of pollution. So no one is talking about pollution. And COPD, lung disease, is the number one source of death in the world. So we're putting out more of these particulates. And no one's talking about that. But they are talking about CO2, which is a food for plants. In fact, when CO2 levels go below about 100 parts per million, right? What happens? All life on Earth dies. So we're supposed to have, in fact, CO2 levels have been, 10 times higher. And that's when we had the most amazing agriculture, right? So anyway, I think a lot of this is about educating people,
What about the biowarfare? What's your thoughts on them spending billions of dollars taking warfare from conventional bombs, guns, tanks?
Well, look,
and now
listen, Jesse, biowarfare goes back nearly, 3,000 years. Okay. You can go look back to Greek and Roman times. People used to do biological warfare, right? And there's been well-written books about this. You can just Google and find these. In the modern world, biological warfare can be done in a much faster way to a global audience, right? And we need to recognize that a lot of this has been supported by both wings of the establishment. It's been going on. You could talk about biological warfare putting poisons in our food, right? I mean, this has been going on for a very, very long time. But the reason it's gotten this bad, Jesse, I keep wanting to emphasize this, is because the left and the right, you look at that graph, it goes back to 1970, 1980. Both wings have been doing this. So we need a systems overhaul. You cannot be voting for the lesser of two evils. We need a systems overhaul, period. So I want to, I think I have to wrap up, Jesse. I have a meeting coming up, but I just want to emphasize in the last few minutes, Truth, Freedom, and Health is the solution. Our run for president provides people a platform to get involved. That's what we're talking about globally. Because without building a bottoms-up movement with the right science, with the right engineering physics, and it's time you learn this, we will never win. They have a nuclear weapon and you're walking around with, sticks and stones. I mean that by the knowledge base. They understand system science. That's why they're able to see into the future. I'm able to see into the future, as you saw in 2020. I called all this shit out. And I'm calling this shit out now. If we want to win, we have to all learn the science of systems. And we have to have enough people learning it. And we have to mobilize a bottoms-up movement. We have to get people going offline, handing out flyers, meeting with your neighbors, having conversations. And we don't need to waste our time on people who want to resist us. If they want to wear 5 masks, please pull a mask out of your wallet and give them another one. If they want to take 5 boosters, give them another booster, because they're never going to change. Find those people who are ready to mobilize a movement, bring them to Truth, Freedom, and Health. Because when 20% get mobilized, we'll be able to bring the other 50% over. The 30% of people who never want to change, let them all go to hell. Don't waste your time barking at them, trying to convince them. You're going to get burned out. That is another secret I'm sharing with people.
Before we wrap up, I was hoping you could tell us about your recent supplement patent MV25.
Yeah, in fact, I can tell you more than just MV25. The technology that I created took me 16 years, allows us to eliminate the need for animal testing, really discover at the molecular level what's actually going on for any disease in our body, for that matter, anything. And I'll give you 2 examples. We recently published a paper on periodontitis where we literally mapped every molecular pathway having to do with periodontal disease. Periodontal disease is a big word for oral health, right? If your body, if you don't take care of your mouth, you're going to destroy your whole body. I don't know if people understand that, how important the mouth is to physical health, mental health, all sorts of health. So let me just share this with people. Here you go. So you can see that paper. Do you see it, Jerry? Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, let me share this with you first. You guys see this? Oops, I'm on the wrong screen. Sorry. Let me close this. I have to, I think you can see the screen, right? Okay. How do let me open link. I don't want to put it in I think I want to open it right here, new window. Okay, I have to go to this new window, sorry. Can you guys see my screen? Okay, so let me share the screen here. I got to stop sharing here. Okay, so let me share the screen with you guys. And that's over here. Am I here? Yeah, here we go. Okay, so look, I work as a full-time scientist in addition to doing all this rabble-rousing, okay, running for president, all these things. So, a typical work day for me is waking up at 4 or 5 and working until midnight. And I don't expect anyone else to do that. It's sort of, but I enjoy what I do. But the other half of my life or more is we just published this major paper. You see, it says systems architecture. Okay, let me, in fact, take away this. There, okay? And you notice I'm the senior author on this. And I did it with one of my colleagues out of BU, right? But what you'll notice is that this is a first systems map of your mouth. See the microbiome, the soft tissue, how all these parts work together. And then more importantly, I've gone to the molecular systems of like literally done the circuit mapping. Okay, no one ever did this before. And we have the architecture, which shows what this architecture shows is that, for example, if you wear a mask on your mouth, it's going to increase these kinds of bacteria, which are going to destroy your mouth microbiome. But notice it took us 5 years to put this paper together and to do this research. No one funded us. We did it ourselves. I funded it. And we did the work and much of the major institutions can't do this work. Okay. That's Yeah, but as some of you may know, in 2020, we ran the first mask conference, okay? And we educated people on this. We shared our scientific paper, and we got people mobilized on the ground to fight these mask mandates, you say, by using the science, and also on top of it, not only using the science, Jesse, but also giving them legal basis to go and challenge these school committees. And we won many, many victories because we used science. So now this paper we just published yesterday, very powerful paper, okay? It shows that the attenuation of aging-related oxidative stress pathways. So again, we've mapped out all the molecular pathways involved in aging. We took on oxidative stress in this paper, and we literally mapped out the molecular pathways of aging. But more importantly, we came up with a solution. We found 6 natural compounds in nature. And we've also told people exactly where they come from. This is like a public service. Again, we funded this ourselves in grapes, blackcurrant, blueberries, raspberries, particularly blueberries and raspberries. Delphinidin and ellagic acid are amazing to prolong your age, okay? So what other presidential candidate actually does science, gets it published to actually deliver you solutions? None of them. They're all scumbags. They will tell you to take your money and give it to Fauci or give more money to the NIH. So we're doing this in a decentralized way and beating them at their own game. All right, Jesse, this has been very, very valuable. And I want to finish up, if you don't mind, playing a final video, which really shares with people what our political campaign is about. Okay. Yep. Well, let me play this video. I think it'll get you guys excited. Here we go. Who would have ever thought I'd be running for president of the United States of America? I was born a low caste untouchable in India's caste system, a system of aristocracy, oppression, and racism. My name is Dr.SHIVA Ayyadurai. I'm an MIT PhD, a Fulbright scholar, a scientist, engineer, entrepreneur, and inventor. My family and I left India to come to America on my 7th birthday. I grew up in the working-class neighborhoods of New Jersey, playing baseball, mowing lawns, painting houses, and coding software. My friends and neighbors are blacks, Italians, Irish, people of all races. As a 14-year-old, I wrote 50,000 lines of software code to create the world's first email system and was awarded the first U.S. copyright for email, recognizing me as its official inventor at a time when copyright was the only way to protect software inventions. I did that long before I ever came to MIT, revealing that big innovations can occur anytime, any place, by anybody. Growing up, I saw politicians dividing us by race and religion in both America and India, to have us fighting each other while they remained safe in their gated communities and in their playgrounds of Hollywood, Martha's Vineyard, and Silicon Valley. I'm a fighter. I fought racism and exposed their imperialist wars, fought for workers, and put my life on the line against global corruption. I never wanted to run for political office. All that changed when I saw working Americans as never before being duped by the establishment and the not-so-obvious establishment. Across left and right, we were being sold out and made to forget why we came to America and why America existed. Lawyers, academics, billionaires, celebrities, and politicians, elites, Clintons, Kennedys, Bidens, Obamas, Bushes, black and white have hijacked America. They printed trillions for their friends. They delivered crumbling infrastructure, corruption, and racism. They've transferred trillions to themselves, dividing black and white, fear-mongering, and fake science, lockdowns and censorship, dirty air, food, and water, pushing drugs upon us, making us sicker. We've been sold out. One set of rules for them and another for us. We deserve a warrior with a history of courage in putting everything on the line for you, who believes in you, not them, who has created a movement bottoms up for truth, freedom, health. I've exposed their lies at the right time, never waiting until it was popular. I've exposed their false gods who exist to lead you back to them. I've exposed their fake science of lockdowns and masking and provided you solutions to fight them and win and protect your immune system, saving millions. I exposed Fauci, galvanized the Fire Fauci campaign when others remained silent. When they stole our election, we sued the government and Twitter in our historic 2020 federal lawsuit, exposing in bare view the government and big tech censorship infrastructure, the unholy alliance between government and social media companies. Where was Elon and his grifters? They stood by the sidelines and did nothing. They did not use their megaphones to help us when it could have made a big difference. Now our movement grows for truth, freedom, health, independent of all of them. Every day, millions are learning the science of systems, the knowledge the elites do not want you to have, so you may learn how to think, stand up, and fight, independent of the establishment of left and right and their fake heroes. Now it's time for you to join the movement, to win back America, to win back truth, win back freedom, win back your health. That's why I'm running for President of the United States. This race is about you. This race is about truth, freedom, health versus power, profit, control. We've had enough. They think we'll fall in line and vote again for their lawyers, celebrities, billionaires, and chosen ones from above. We choose our heroes from below, from the rank and file, who do what is right at the right time, not when it's convenient and popular. They can never represent us. What America needs is a movement by the working people, for the working people, who are educated, organized, decentralized, and fight for independence from their systems of control. And that movement exists. It's ready for you. We don't need them. We need us to go bottoms up, neighbor to neighbor. My journey, your journey are all the same. It's our time. It's time we had one of us. It's time to win back truth, freedom, health, to win back America. Be part of this historic movement all the way to our victory on November 5th, 2024. If you're an American citizen, pledge your vote now for Dr. Shiva the independent candidate for U.S. President. No matter where you live, you can be a part of this. Volunteer as little as 20 minutes a day. Don't delay. This is Dr. Shiva and I approve this message, paid for by Dr. Shiva for President. Look, here's the bottom line. Okay, let's look at the numbers. If you think about it, take a state like Massachusetts. 5.5 million people are eligible to vote, right? Do you know how many people actually are registered to vote out of that 5.5 million? 4.2 million, okay? So that means right there's about 1.3 million people who don't even register to vote. Why? Because they don't believe in the system. Then out of the 4.2 million people who are registered to vote, how many actually come out and vote? About half of them, okay? Let's say 2.5 million people on a good day. Depends on a presidential year. All right, so now that's another 2 million people, right? Roughly 2 million plus. So you have 3 million people who are eligible to vote who don't vote or don't even register to vote, okay? Then out of the 2.2 to 5 million people who do vote, 10% are registered Republicans, 35% are Democrats, the other 60% are unaffiliated. They don't believe in either party. You follow where I'm going? This entire, and then by the way, when candidates run for office, you know who they market to? They send out all their TV advertising is only for that 2 million. They don't want the other 3 million people ever coming out because they're going to fuck up their elections. So they actively do not want more people voting. Do you understand what I'm saying, Jesse? Because that doesn't, they have mathematical models saying, okay, I'm going to target these households because I need to bring out so many Republicans, and Democrats want to bring up so many Democrats. You say, I know the science because I know the math. I used to do it for our own election, but they don't want the dark matter coming out, the non-Brahmins, you know, the 3 million people, the 60% who have given up on the system. So this is why we need to build a movement. You see, when I ran in Massachusetts, 60% of the people who voted for us had never voted before. We brought out the dark matter.
Wow.
That's what we're bringing out, the dark matter. And that is why, you know, the former chief of staff to Trump, when he heard I was running, he said, that's a fucking disruption. And that's why their only thing is to make us invisible. Well, that's why I'm telling everyone, get off your butt and fucking get these flyers out there. We get this out to 50 million people, they're fucked.
So, but do you have one in each one of the ridings? Like, could you, because if you win your riding, do you have enough people all across America that can actually get you as president?
No, we're not doing a write-in, we're getting on the ballot. So in every state, we have to get on the ballot, which means you have to collect so many signatures. That everyone has to do. So the goal is anyone listening First of all, put these bumper stickers wherever you're in the world. That's just brand equity. People go, I mean, I had a friend of mine when I was running for Senate in Massachusetts. He was vacationing in Maui and someone else had our bumper sticker on, in Haleakala Crater. Okay. Then he goes to Beverly Hills. So people were putting you can build brand equity everywhere. We live in a global world now. So if you're in Finland, get a bumper sticker. If you're in Canada, but because Americans will come there and say, wow, he's got support everywhere. Okay. So number one, get the bumper stickers out, right? Number two, volunteer. If you have friends wherever you are in the United States, tell them to get on the ground, volunteer, shivaforpresident.com. When I ran for Senate, we had people all over the country volunteering. People are making phone calls from Australia. I am calling from Australia. I think you guys should vote for that guy for president. You can make phone calls, okay? Anyone can help here. But more importantly, get involved because you meet amazing people, You get to realize you're not alone. And that's really, really boosts your immune system. Anyway, Jesse, it was great. Thank you for allowing me to share the videos and everything with your audience. This is valuable for you guys. But
100%. Would you be interested in coming back? And we'd like to get some stickers and signed copies of your book if possible. That's one of the things here at the Missing Link. We're trying to get a signed copy of every single author.
Yeah, go online or ask Heather. I have signed copies right here, System Health. But everyone, get educated, right? Or be enslaved. That's our slogan. And we've created the infrastructure for everyone to be involved. And finally, Jesse, I want to let everyone know every Thursdays at 11 a.m. and at 8 p.m. It's a double feature. Go to vashiva.com/orientation. Sign up to come to our open houses. Okay? Get involved. Come to the open houses. Meet people. Meet friends. You'll enjoy it. I just wanted to thank a couple of people who've helped us. Someone said, Dr. Shiva, please stop giving your research away for free. Please stop. All right. Well, then contribute. Thank you for your, contribution. Someone said, I promise to vote for Dr. Shiva 2024. Someone else said, Dr. Shiva, Iodre and Dane Wingington are two of the most important voices on the planet. Wingington.
Dane Wigington from geoengineering.com. Yeah. So some people believe he's controlled because he only talks about some certain things and not others. We've had other climate scientists, but I can see why they're saying that because he's bringing awareness to the geoengineering that's going on.
Yeah, so he's saying D. Wingington's part American Indian. How funny. Indians are invisible ones, whether East Indian or American Indian. True. And someone says, I support you 100%. I'm in Los Angeles. Just wanted you to know that the word Shiva, what the Shiva means to you, because it is not unlike having the name Lucifer. Well, look, Shiva is actually from the ancient Tamil word, actually means Sevapu, if you go look at it, which means sun, okay, light, okay, which means not light of the Lucifer light, but it's a very natural form of thing that gives health, right? Because without the sun, we don't have life. That's what it means. That's one interpretation. The other is Shiva is a destroyer, the destroyer of evil, okay, the destroyer of darkness, right? The destroyer of the devil. So that's what Shiva ultimately means. But darkness here is ignorance. So the trident of Shiva actually pierces ignorance, Shiva ultimately educates and awakens people to their own divinity. The kingdom of heaven is within you. So that's another interpretation, Someone else says you should get on the show Valuetainment. Yeah, let me give you this scumbag, Patrick Bet David. This guy's a total scum. In 2020, he wanted me on his show, right? I said, great. I didn't know who the guy was. And he said, okay, I have tickets. Everything's booked. And I had very specific things on what the tickets were to bring my assistant. We go to the airport at 5 a.m. He didn't follow our instructions. He expected me to pay for it.
Wow.
Okay. He's a fucking tool scumbag. And now he's acting like he's radical, right? And he said, oh, Dr. Shiva's arrogant. That's why I put him on. It's like, fuck you. That's my answer to him. Fuck you. He's part of the swarm. He only promotes the swarm creatures. He will never put me on because people will recognize who he really is. So there you go.
Is he a Brahmin, you think, then?
Of course.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you. This was great, having this conversation with you, Jesse. And let's do it again.
Awesome. Thank you so much. May the source be with you and all that you do, protection around you. I'm in alignment with everything that I've ever heard come out of your mouth. And when I heard you talking about the Brahmins, I was like, wow, this guy is truly on our side. So keep doing what you're doing. You have the support here of the Missing Link. And, all of our audience here knows that I don't firmly support anyone. Right? I tell people to think for themselves, but you are someone who I do support. So keep doing what you're doing, man. And I'd love to book you again here in the near future.
Hey, Jesse, let's do that again. And remember, it's time that we shatter the swarm. And everyone listening today, for God's sake, get off your butts. We have, it's being handed to you on a golden platter in some ways. The education, the knowledge, and whatever way you want to participate, get a flyer, get a bumper sticker, get on the ground. Tell your friends, share this video. And by the way, with all the shadow banning, get this out there. Anyway, be the light. Okay. Best to you and your family and friends and all your audience. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thanks to you too. Thank you everybody for all your likes, comments, hearts, shares, and stars. We appreciate all of your love and support. May the source be with you all. We've got another, bye, Dr. Shiva. I know you got to get going.